So because the label was basically paying for itself and that you weren't taking your own payments, what were you doing for money in the early days, just so that way the label could stay a track?
Yeah. So that was, I think, one of the things that helped set me apart from some of the more established labels at that time. I mean, they were full-time jobs where they had to earn their keep, right? They had to, invest the money that they were putting into whatever they were releasing and hope to earn it back. I mean, that's what a label does. You basically front the money for the bands and to release, to kind of produce the music and release it and distribute it and market it. But for me, back then it was, there was several things that kind of had to happen at the same time for Bridge 9 to take off the way it did in the early 2000s. The first part was having a band that was willing to tour and really get out there and be an ambassador for the label. And I had that with American Nightmare. The second thing was having the kind of focus and structure to be able to competently release a record. And for me at the time, I had taken a job, in 99, I was working at Tower Records in the basement art department, making window displays. And I knew a guy named Rama that owned a label called Big Wheel Recreation in Boston at the time, was like the label,
I remember seeing them.
Yeah. I mean, he was the label of like the kind of mid to late 90s and early 2000s. And through some of the guerrilla marketing efforts that I had done for my own label, I had been on Rama's radar and we had a lot of mutual friends. So he gave me an opportunity to work at his label. So I now all of a sudden had somebody that I could, Scott Byven at Bloodlink had kind of given me a little roadmap and said, hey, this is how you release a record. But Rama was the guy that I was able to pick his brain on almost daily basis about what to do now that you have a band that's willing to tour. I think I made my first one sheet through, with Rama's guidance, and worked on advertisements and kind of, I did my first promotional posters through printers that he used. So it helped give me a little bit of structure and kind of focus on, and let me know how to do it correctly. But the biggest piece was, coming up with the money. I was working a minimum or just barely over minimum wage job at Tower Records, making probably $7.50 an hour at the time. And how do you fund a record label or push a band with that after you pay your rent? You don't. So you need to come up with money. And, when you're teenager or early 20s, banks aren't giving loans to put out punk rock records. I had to figure out a way to come up with the cash to fund American Nightmare. And, as some people know, at the time I went down to Fenway Park and sold Yankee Suck bumper stickers to Red Sox fans, in the spring of 2000. And that was a money tree that it just out of nowhere. I was making bumper stickers in the 90s and selling them to chain stores like Hot Topic, just subculture stickers. I remember the first sticker I made, it just said, I love ska, with a black and white checkered heart. And I wasn't really into ska, but I recognized that I could sell a lot of those through Hot Topic. And I took those early checks from Hot Topic and put that into the first couple 7-inches that I had released. So in 2000, when I went to Fenway, I had friends that did concessions working at Fenway Park. And, the rivalry between the Red Sox and the Yankees was so fervent at the time. If you put Yankee Suck on anything, people would buy it. And I was already making bumper stickers for a bunch of other things. So I said, I'm going to try that and go down to Fenway and sell these to Red Sox fans. And I made more money the first night that I did that than I did the whole week before at my day job. So now all of a sudden I had, I had a band that was willing to tour. I had the kind of focus and structure and kind of, somebody that I was able to talk to about how to properly push a record. And then I was able to come up with the cash to do it.